Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Enzo, your host here, where we talk about all things film, film news, pop culture, and all the like. In this particular video, we're going to be doing a film review on the film called John Q, which stars Denzel Washington and was directed by Nick Cassavetes. Now, Mr. Cassavetes got his foot in the industry through family connections and had bit parts in films like Face Off, but has even directed other films like The Notebook in 2004. The stuff he does is decent, not mind-blowing. What he does seems to be what he likes and wants to do, which is usually a good thing. The film was produced by Evolution Entertainment and has been most notably known for making John Q, having a part in the production of Saw 3, the horror thriller franchise, and was distributed by New Line Cinema. New Line Cinema is an American film production studio and label of Warner Bros. It was created in 1967 by Robert Shave, an independent film distribution company, later becoming a film studio. John Q had a budget of $36 million, which is quite impressive considering the film raked in $106 million at the box office. Its success was notable in the box office, though reviews were conflicting between general audiences and professional film critics. We'll talk about the film shortly, but for now let's go ahead and talk about the characters and the plot. As mentioned earlier, the film stars Denzel Washington as John Q, Daniel E. Smith as Mike Archibald, Kimberly Elise as Denise Archibald, his wife, Ray Liotta, rest in peace, as Chief Gus, James Woods as Dr. Raymond, and Anne Heche as Rebecca Payne, among others. I think all of them did a really good job. I said earlier that the plot, along with the acting, were one of the best parts about this film and what really make it one of the greats. Without further ado, let's go over the film's plot and shortly after its reception. So the film focuses on a low-income household. These people struggle to get by, and it's a family. You know, Mike Archibald being the son of John Q and the wife, I think they both work. But one fateful afternoon, while they're watching their son play in a Little League, he's playing baseball, he collapses. All of a sudden, they rush him right to the ER, not even waiting for an ambulance, only to be told he's suffering from a rare and deadly heart attack. A heart issue of some kind in which the only type of cure, or to help him, is to get a heart transplant. As mentioned earlier, they're low income and have difficulty obtaining the type of insurance clearance or any of the finances to back such an expensive and intricate surgery. They do the best to raise the funds in order to save their son. They sell their own items, they try to get a second job, they get donations from the church, and just a whole bunch of things to help raise the money. They're trying their hardest, they're paying out of pocket because they have no insurance to back them, he won't be covered, and unfortunately later in the film he gets the bad news that his son is being released for not necessarily non-payment, it's just he can't keep up with what they need, which is very selfish and unfortunate, but it's the way the film is set out, and they tell him they're going to release Michael, and that he's going to die eventually, and that there's nothing they can do. There's no money to provide for this surgery, and he's not even on the list for heart transplant, or very high up in the list, so it's a pretty unfortunate situation, and when John Q receives this information, he doesn't take it lightly. He's quite upset. He knows he's been working hard to get his son what he needs, and he's not going to let his son down, which is something I really like in the film. Yeah, the film makes critiques about other aspects of society, like the health system, police, insurance, and whatnot, but I think a lot of people miss the real beauty of the fact that this father will go through everything to save his son. Everything and anything to save his son. He is not letting his son go without a fight. No way. That's one of the best things I love about this film. It's a beautiful message that people seem to overlook, even though it's right in your face. All that he does is for his son. And after hearing of this unfortunate news, he takes matters into his own hands and violently holds the hospital hostage, as well as a few patients who are left behind, and demands that his son get the transplant and care that he needs to survive. This is where the action starts to pick up, and of course the film inevitably resolves, but let's go over the reception. And a 90% approval rating from general audiences on Google. On other sites like Rotten Tomatoes, it gets as low as 23%, but from the general audience, it's closer to 80%. So why all the disparity? Now, though I don't have a definite answer for the disparity of these views, I find that there's a certain pattern when looking over the professional reviews. I find that they focus way too much on the plot in a literal sense. For instance, one review straight up criticizes the action sequences that take place in the film as the sole lesson to be learned. I don't understand how someone who's considered a professional film critic doesn't understand the concept of suspension of disbelief. Many reviews are as ignorant as this, and some do provide valid critiques, but for the most part, they criticize the film for nonsensical reasons, which I find quite odd. I even see some reviews pathetically, mocking the film by saying the only way to solve your life's problems is to pull out a gun and be a terrorist, hold people hostage, which is not a good thing to do, obviously. That's the thing. It's very obvious that this is not the way to go about it. It's a movie. I don't understand how these professional film critics can't understand that it's a film. If you think that the film is trying to sell you violence, especially after watching it, you're an idiot. Okay? You don't know what you're looking at, and you should not be considered a professional film critic at all. It's quite possible that they dislike the film for a couple of random theories, like perhaps they're paid off by the medical insurance companies to help put down the movie. That's a bit of a far stretch, but possible. I mean, things are very possible. You might not know how negative the world can be, but it can be that way. Another more likely theory is that they can't relate to the struggle of these people living paycheck to paycheck. That's something some close to 95% or more of Americans exist with on a daily basis. They simply cannot afford everyday things. They have to give up stuff. God forbid they're in a medical emergency. They're completely bankrupt. So these professional film critics who are likely wealthy off mommy or daddy's money, living in Los Angeles, New York, have no way to connect with that. Whereas the general audience and population of America resonate with that really deeply. I also find it odd and quite hilarious that they comment so negatively on John's situation, making fun of his financial situation, considering we all know that film majors and people who study film are bombarded with communist propaganda. And so it's odd that they're not really sympathetic with his struggle, the plight of the proletariat. So not only do these film critics miss the entire meaning of the film, but it shows they didn't really learn anything in film school. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing, I'm not sure. Boy, when they miss the nail, they hit the thumb. And as I mentioned earlier, the plot is the strongest aspect of the story. Coming in close is the acting, especially from Denzel Washington. The audio and cinematography is all decent, nothing immaculate or anything. The film carries on with a notable sense of professionalism, and it works. The editing and pacing are good too. Comedy is used sparingly throughout to help break up moments of drama or intense sadness, which this film unfortunately consists a lot of. If you're not in the mood to see a sad movie, probably push this one off for a little later. I recommend you do watch it. It's a nice film, very human film, but it's very sad. I don't think I'll go over a spoiler edition of this film. I do enjoy it. There are a lot of great scenes in this film, especially the conversation Denzel Washington, the father, has with his son right before undergoing the surgery or taking up another extreme measure before saying goodbye to his son in some way. So that's going to be it for this video. I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.